thank you very much for coming. I don't think I need to introduce myself. I think you all know who I am. Thank you very much for coming, and I'll keep it very brief because the wind is a bit chilly. Thanks very much to Anthony Rowlands, our mayor, for coming. I'm not quite sure what to call this ceremony, other than it's a celebration, because we can't really inaugurate her. Quite right, yes. We can't really inaugurate her, but on the other hand, it's a celebration because delighted our conservator, Paul Ferguson, has been able to come, who did all the hard work, and it was hard work over quite a long period of time. So these things aren't easily rectified, but we have saved and conserved our succubus, our rare succubus. Now, she's not the only one that, of course, existed in St Albans. And some of you may know that there were 3 saved from the High Street who went down Waxhouse Gate. And sadly, they were auctioned off, and they are in America. And despite our librarians' best efforts, they can't find them. But we also have another one, which I shall be campaigning for, who is probably a grotesque, and I'll explain the difference between a succubus and a grotesque in a moment, who exists just in the archway off the bookshop going down Holywell Hill. And this grotesque, whatever gender, has been cut in half so they could put the archway there. And she's right up there, but she needs saving. And I think what we need to do, I'm just trying this out on you, is to get her taken down and put in the museum. Because no one can see her now, she's not doing any good there. And
put her back together again, I think.
Well, the other half is lost, I'm afraid, so she'll remain an enigma. Anyway, the most important thing is to thank all of those people who made a donation. This is a product of community acting. It's all been done by people putting funds in. A couple of organisations, actually 4 or 5 organisations at the end, but a lot of private people, including most of you here, many of you here, and thank you very much for that, for saving her. And what is she? She's not, as some people would like to think, a sign that this was a brothel. Although the Christopher Inn was a brothel in the 19th century at one point, because we know the innkeeper was taken to court for keeping a bawdy house. But prior to that, it's a very interesting, and I won't go on too long, but if you are interested in succubuses, grotesques, gargoyles and Sheelana gigs, I will be giving a talk on the 23rd of January for the Ark and Ark about them. But the important thing to say, it's interesting, she's probably 17th century, might be a little bit earlier, and what she is a rather interesting melding of Christian and pagan beliefs. So she's partly evil eye, which means actually if you come here, you are protected because, look, her feet are shackled. So she can do you no harm. So she's actually that, but of course she's also devilish, and this is why we restored her, and of course many of you will know last time she was painted white, which is the wrong colour. We restored her to her devilish black, because in the Christian view, she is a devil. And she's a female devil, a succubus, and on the other side there were male devils, incubi, an incubus, and one of the main tasks they had, which sort of gives you a flavour of the morality of the time, was to seduce you. So what Christopher Inn was saying was, you're safe when you come here. And the reason she's facing here is because the carriages could not turn the corner of French Row. So they came in the back here. So when you arrive from your trip from London, or you're coming down from North, you'd walk through this passageway, and what you would see is the succubus. I'll stop there because it's pretty chilly. But just to thank you once again for all the donations that made this possible, and we're really grateful. And I'm going to hand over to Anthony. I don't know, have I left anything for you to say? I hope so.
I suppose you'll find out. In a way, but look, but Tim, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be down the alleyways again. It was only about a month ago that we were in Sovereign Way and looking at that fantastic mural. And I appreciate once again that these sorts of renovation, if I can call it a renovation, restoration, only happen through your commitment and interest in ensuring that it gets off the ground, metaphorically, but also that it's funded. And thank you to Paul also for all your expert work in ensuring that is back to what it might originally have looked like. Now I've got the sort of the eagle eye of the stare down on me, and hoping that might result in some exoneration of all my misgivings and failings since I was installed as mayor, or whether I was hoping you were going to say it went up in the 16th century, in which case it might have been there at the time of the first mayor, which was 1553.
It's possible.
Possibly. I mean, it will take 100 years. I'm not going any further on 16th century history because I have to say that was not a part of the degree syllabus that I specialise in any way on. But just one really serious point. I mean, I'm a very, very pensioned off very ex-history teacher, and the sort of can I call it an artefact? Is that would be, I don't want to something, but I know it's sort of tricky territory when you start using words and terminology that might not be quite appropriate. But these are the essence of history and social and religious history. And this is going to be here, and one hopes that, with the passage of time, school children in groups, as well as adults of all ages, will actually come by and learn more about what our community was like many, many years ago, because without our history we are completely and utterly lost. You've all really contributed in a very practical and important way to ensure that another little part of our history is brought back to life. I feel I ought now just to go over to Waterstones and order a copy of Keith Thomas's Religion and Decline of Magic in order to find out what actually this was going on, because that's, I think, maybe still the weightiest and authoritative tome on such matters, and I have to say one that I haven't yet delved into, but it's a fascinating insight, and so thank you all for everything you've contributed to this.
Thank you very much, Anthony, indeed. Thank you again very much for coming. And this is all part of a process of trying to conserve and preserve St Albans heritage, which is massive. And already we're talking about maybe something here that tells us who she is and what's going on. So many thanks for coming. Now, so thanks very much for coming.
Well done, Joe. Well done.
Oh, yes, a few photos, yes.